Jan's asking what everyone's favorite part of the season is. How about the tree?
There she blows.
That took forever to clean up last year. What about taking new pictures? Come here now. Come on, I just want a picture.
Let's just AI generate a photo this year.
Yikes, we're gonna have to try again on those. What about making Christmas cookies?
No, bad dog, bad!
I'm just gonna put something generic. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
And it's my joy and honor and privilege to introduce my pastor to you. Would you give it up for Mr. Toby Slough?
Love you, man. Love you. Wow. So many of you I haven't met yet. So let me introduce myself. My name is Toby. Slough rhymes with wow. Not slaw. I wanted to name my son Cole, and my wife wouldn't let me. I thought that'd be awesome. I'm 62 years old. My wife, Micah, who is here with me today, we celebrated 40 years of being married this year, which, if you're a young man, you're not married yet, it ought to give you great encouragement to know that I got one good woman to make one bad decision. I've been set for the last 40 years of my life. You too just have to fool one. I know it sounds weird to say this on a Sunday morning church, but I love Jesus with all of my heart. He's not a concept for me. 3rd through 6th grade, as soon as I finish this story, y'all can go. Because you need to hear this. He's not a concept or an idea. It's a person. The person of Jesus Christ has saved me from the hell that is to come and from the hell that I have been living in for the last 30 years. I believe every word of the Bible is true, even the parts that I don't like or understand. Come on, Lamentations. Anybody with me? I have 2 kids who married 2 great kids who gave me 5 grandkids that I like more than all 4 of those kids put together. I pray this prayer every morning before my feet hit the floor at the Holiday Inn Express. I prayed it this morning. Father, fill me with your Holy Spirit. Give me everything I need to be everything you've called me to be today. I am acutely aware of my inadequacy and my insufficiency without him. And for now, 30 years, I have battled an anxiety and panic disorder that God hasn't seen fit to heal me from yet. Oh, he's given me something. He's giving me what I feel like is better. He's giving me freedom. Freedom is not the absence of something. Freedom is the presence and power of someone in the middle of something. And not to offend those of you who don't know me yet, but church people don't know what to do with me because I don't fit in your box. I like to say that I have a 30-year degree from a university nobody wants to attend. And I've learned a few things that one of them I want to share with you today. So I want to invite our 3rd through 6th graders. You guys head to class. Ask your mom and dad what they learned today after church, and let's see if they're listening. Let me tell you one thing that I have learned. And if you're a parent, if you're a grandparent, look at me. Hope is not a strategy. What we need when we struggle emotionally, we need a plan. When your goal is to find God in the middle of your struggle, not for you not to struggle. Maybe I'll say that again. When your goal is to find God's presence and power when you struggle, not to never struggle, because that will happen when they put you in a box. You begin to understand that God's principles aren't Sunday school lessons that we learn, but a life-giving plan, whatever you're facing. And it's interesting because that's what tonight, by the way, is going to be about. Mike and I have been in front of, now we just passed 500,000 people in the past 4 years live that we have shared the principles, and I'm going to share with you tonight. Our fastest growing audience is parents of adult kids, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight. If your kids are little, you ought to be here because some of the stuff I'm going to tell you, you need to tell your parents. But also what I'm going to do is give you a plan. Here's some things to do. I'm not going to tell you just go pray about it and hope it gets better. Of course you're going to pray. It's a part of your plan. But here's some things you do to appropriate the power of God in the middle of your struggle. You with me? And here's what's funny about it. I'll get to it in a minute, Jason. Here's what's funny about it. You get to choose whether you employ the plan or not. I was asked by a provost of a major university. We get a chance lots of times to be on college campuses, and he said, have your tools, which are really just a part of our plan, have they been tested? I said, yes, sir. He said, how long? I said, 30 years. Where? In my own life. Like, I didn't pull this out of a book. I've been doing these things for 30 years. I've been through the most difficult ministry season of my life over the past 12 months. And people have said to me, hey, how you doing? I said, practicing what I preach, man. I'm just believing God and living the plan. The other funny thing about it is it's now places like Harvard, Yale, some of the top universities, some of the top research centers for mental health in America, they're spending millions of dollars to say to people what I've been telling them the plan is works. I don't know how much Harvard paid for the study that said there's a direct correlation between your level of gratitude and your mental health, but I could have saved them millions of dollars and told them to read the Bible. What part of Enters Gates of Thanksgiving do you not understand, right? So I'm going to give you today what is one of the most powerful points of a plan for those who struggle. And some of you aren't going to believe me. And I will say to you in love, then go buy you another fidget spinner or weighted blanket and let me know how it goes for you. I told you I love the Bible. I mean, I love the Bible. There's nothing like God's Word. Not words on a page or on a tablet, but living and active. It is a supernatural, unmistakable, unexplainable personal experience that you have when you spend time in God's Word. It's crazy what God does. People ask me all the time, how do you know that you're reading the Bible enough? As if we're reading the Bible to win Bible Bowl or something. You don't read the Bible to get smarter in the Bible and impress your small group. You read the Bible because the Bible is a mirror to your life. You know when you know you're reading the Bible enough? It's when the Bible starts reading you back. It's when you read something and it's so personal and it's so powerful. And you've read it 100 times, but in that story, in that principle, you go, that is me. And God is showing me the way out. For me, one of these passages that the Lord has used over the past 30 years comes out of Mark chapter 6. Now, let me tell you what's happening in Mark chapter 6, what has preceded these words that Mark are going to share with us. I want you to see where we enter the story. Jesus has sent out his disciples 2 by 2 to do ministry together. He sent them on a mission trip. Any of you ever been on a mission trip? Anybody come home tired from a mission trip? Okay, so we're going to see some fatigue happening in the life of these guys. Not only were they on a mission trip, but it wasn't that successful at the end. Well, how do you know that? Because they said, we tried to cast out these demons, but we couldn't do it. And Jesus said, those only come out by prayer. And they're like, dude, we forgot to pray. I mean, that's not like, so it hasn't been successful for them. What they don't know is Jesus has just received word that John the Baptist has been beheaded. And if you've ever faced sudden loss, you know how Jesus, who was in every way man, feels in that moment. And they come home. And in Mark 6, it says the apostles gathered around Jesus and reported to him all they had done and taught. Then, because so many people were coming and going that they didn't even have a chance to eat, he said to them, come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest. Anybody ever need a vacation from their vacation? Well, let me ask you this. Any of you ever been in a difficult season in your life, but you go, it's okay because I got a vacation coming in 2 weeks, and it sustains you? Like whatever you got to do at work to get ready to go, it's worth it all because in 2 weeks you're going to go. Let me tell you what saved my marriage, 40 years of marriage in 40 plus years of ministry. Fridays. Fridays saved my marriage. I know a lot of my pastor friends take off Monday. It's like, dude, I feel like a truck ran over me on Monday. I don't want to waste my day feeling this bad. So Fridays were Micah and I, our day. Micah didn't work outside the home. She had her own business, and we set it up where on Friday the kids are at school and we're going to be together. And so, how crazy the week was, we knew that Friday was coming. And this is what Jesus sees in his depleted disciples. And all these people are gathering like they always do around Jesus. So he says, let's go over to the resort for a couple of days and get you guys something to eat and get you fed. Can you imagine how excited they were in that moment? Right? It says, so they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place, but many who saw them leaving recognized them and ran on foot from all the towns and got there ahead of them. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them many things. They thought they're going on vacation and a gospel meeting breaks out. Right? Now, listen, anybody here ever been hangry? Besides me, anybody ever said something really stupid when they got hangry? I want you to get into what these disciples are feeling. And I want you to contrast it with how Jesus operates when he's feeling low. He's brokenhearted about the loss of his friend. These guys haven't eaten all day. They get to the other side thinking they're going to the resort buffet. Everybody shows up and Jesus starts teaching. And bless his heart, I know it was great. Lord, I know what you said was great, but you went on and on and on. Right? That's what happened. You remember in the book of Acts what happens? In Acts that Paul preaches so late that Eutychus falls out the window and dies. Paul goes down there to embrace him and he brings him back to life, which is a great lesson, Jason, for you and me. Preaching kills people. It's embracing people that brings them back to life. Jesus goes on and on and on. By this time it was late in the day, so his disciples came to him. This is a remote place, they said, and it's already very late. Send the people away so that they can go to the surrounding countryside and villages and buy themselves something to eat. Listen, when you're hungry, you don't give a rip about anybody. They weren't saying, Peter, another account tells us Peter that led this discussion, which makes perfect sense. Because what Peter's always trying to, he's like, any of you guys, old people, remember Leave It to Beaver? Peter's like the Eddie Haskell of the group. He's always got an agenda, but he always presents it as he wants the best for everyone. Peter says, hey, we need to send these people away. They're hungry. It's getting late. He didn't care about them. It was getting late and he was hungry and he was tired. And he wanted to cut off the gospel meeting. He's like, let's sing Blessed Be the Time. Let's go eat some dinner. And Jesus looks at him and says, hey, you give them something to eat. Now, stay with me. Look at me, everyone. So far in the story, if the Bible is a mirror, if the Bible is reading you, you're saying, I'm tired. I am the disciples. Trust me, you ain't Jesus. The question Jesus is about to answer is this. When you find yourself in a difficult season, when you're tired, you're weary, you don't see an end in sight, you mamas, those little ankle biters, I mean, it's like I'll give you a hint. You're going to get to take a nap on a Sunday one day, but it ain't going to be today. Right? I mean, and you're fatigued from raising these kids, or you have a high school kid and they're a prodigal, or I mean, we could go through it all. When you're in a difficult season and you don't feel like you have enough in you, then you know how the disciples feel. You know that the American Council of Psychiatric Studies says this: 64% of Americans struggle during the holiday season more than they do any other time of the year. And you want to know why we struggle? Lack of time, financial pressure, gift giving, and family gatherings. I mean, this season brings stress to us. And Jesus says to his disciples and to you and me today, hope isn't a strategy. I'm about to show you a plan. I'm going to show you what you do when you find yourself in a difficult season. And the answer isn't what you think. But before I show you what he did, I want to give you a truth. You need to write this down. Or act like you are. It makes me feel better. The problem with pain is not that it hurts. The problem with pain is it makes you a narcissist. Come on, let's be honest. The problem with pain is your world becomes all about you. 40 years, me and that sweet girl have been married. She is the greatest thing on the planet ever happened to me. In 17 states and 35 cities, the second half of this year, I have sat in a front row or a front section, because I ain't walking up these stairs, Jace. I want to know that way. She has put her hand on my back and prayed for me. She is God's greatest gift to me. I have back issues. When my back is hurting, I don't give a rip about her. I just want my back to stop hurting. Isn't the devil smart? He knows if he can get you to focus on you, that things won't get better, they'll get worse. Jesus knows this, and so he says, you give them something to eat. They said to him, that would take more than a half a year's wages. We don't have enough. Are we to go and spend that much on bread and give it to them to eat? Hey, side note, everybody look at me. One of the things the devil does is he always takes you to an extreme. Pastor Jason stands here and says to you, we have to care about the world. And as a church family, we're going to come together and we're going to make a kingdom impact around the world. And what you hear is you have to sell your house and move to Nairobi. That wasn't your thought. That was the enemy that planted that thought in your head. Why? Because if the only way you can make an impact on the world is to sell everything you got and move to Nairobi, guess what you do? You do nothing. right? You do nothing. One of the things we say at Goby all the time is we focus on progress, not perfection. It's not the home run that changes our life. It's sometimes the sacrifice bunt we lay down just to advance another base. You with me? And this is what's happening to the disciples. Hey, you think we got to sell everything we have to give them food? And Jesus asked the question, well, what do you have? What is Jesus saying to those of us when we struggle who become narcissists and are believing that this is just as good as it gets? What is he saying? He's saying don't focus on what you don't have. Focus on what you do have. It's God with Moses, the stutterer at the burning bush. You remember it? And his question was what? What's in your hand? We tend to, when we struggle, what we all tend to do is our deficiencies get elevated. By the way, one of the reasons that the holiday season is so hard for so many people is because everything's magnified in the holiday season. Everything. Joy is magnified and grief is magnified. We have an opportunity by the power of God's Holy Spirit that lives in us to focus on what we have and not what we don't have. So the greatest thing Micah does for me in this holiday season when I struggle emotionally, because I am a part of the 64%, have to fight it, is she reminds me of what I have. And Jesus is doing this here. He says, how many loaves do you have? Yes, go and see. When they found out, they said 5 and 2 fish. Now, again, let's not rush through the story. The disciples are not saying to each other, this is awesome. I can't wait. It's going to be in the Bible one day. That's not what they're people, right? And Jesus is setting them up. And there were 5,000 men. Most scholars would tell us there's 20,000 plus people in this gathering. Ladies, don't get mad at me. Blame the Bible. I mean, they didn't count women back then. But there were 5,000 men, 20,000 people. And he says, go find out how much food's out there. You tell me how long it took for them to go ask anybody, you got anything? You got anything? 20,000. My goodness, if I asked all of us to walk out the door here in a second to do something out of the norm, it'd take you guys 4 hours. And there's not 500 of us in here. 5,000, 20,000 people. They do a survey and they come back and say, we got 5 loaves and we got 2 little fish. That's not even a happy meal. And then notice what Jesus does. Is this helping anybody? Is anybody with me on this? Like, I'm too old to care if you like me. I just want to know, is this helping anybody? Because this is a hard teaching. It's just true. So Jesus directed them to have all the people to sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in groups of hundreds and fifties. How long does it take 20,000 plus people to get in groups of 50 and 100 in circles in the grass? It's almost like Jesus is stalling. We sang this morning about God being right on time. He's right on time in his time, not my time. And one of the great things that we begin to believe in the middle of these struggles is that God doesn't care about us anymore. That there's no purpose or point behind the pain. Look, I am a genius in the rearview mirror. Anybody else? Like, looking back, I'm a genius. I'm Albert Einstein. In the midst of it, I just want God to move. Do you know how many nights over the past 30 years, until 4 years ago, that I laid in bed, tears streaming down my face, just going, God, why won't you fix me? Like, is it me? So he has them sit down in groups of 50s and 100s. Now, don't miss this. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. So this is important. So the Jewish tradition was you took a piece of bread, you had this little piece of bread, you broke it, you raised it, you blessed it as everyone had their head bowed, and then you passed it. This is important because Jesus is going to die, be resurrected. And when he appears to his disciples, don't miss this. How did they know that he was who he said he was, that he was the Messiah? How were their eyes opened? He took bread, read it, he broke it. As he raised it, what happened to his robe? So these fell down and they saw the scars. It was in that moment that they recognized he was the Lord, which is a message to those of us who struggle that our scars open people's eyes to the power of God at work in our lives. Don't hide your scars. That's a side note. That was free. So Jesus takes the bread, blesses it. Let's just pick one. Bartholomew walks up and he hands him a piece of bread. He says, go to those 50 and do what I just did. So now Bartholomew, Matthew, Peter, pick one, is standing in his group and he says, he takes his half of his half, he holds it up, he blesses it, and he breaks it. This is where we are, this moment. It all builds to this moment. What are you going to do? You're defeated, you're tired, you're hangry. Pick your word. You're struggling, and you have a half of a little old loaf of bread to feed 50 people. You know what I'm going to do? Just honestly, I'm holding it up. As they bow their heads, I'm taking the first bite. Anybody else? Anybody going to be confessional with me? Who else is doing it? I'm hungry. I've been out here all day. If anybody deserves it, it's me. And you know what? When you do that, you will be satisfied for a moment. But when you take what you have, which is not enough, which is the point, your time. I just don't meet people all over this country. I don't have people come talk to me at my book table and tell me how much spare time they have. I don't meet that person. I mean, if I talk to a guy like, man, we wear as a badge of honor, how you doing? I'm busy, man, busy. You don't have enough time. I mean, God, I know that's a kingdom impacting invitation, but I don't have time. Here's what I love. People tell me, man, as soon as I raise my kids, as soon as I get these kids out of the house, you won't believe what I'll do. I've had people in my church say to me, hey, Pastor, if I ever win the lottery, you're not going to believe how much money I'm going to give. Look at me. If you're not giving time when you don't have it, when you have a ton, you're not going to give it. And if you're not being faithful with your funds before the lottery or the big payday, you won't be faithful when that day comes. God isn't looking at you based upon your deficiency. He's asking you, what do you have? Yeah, I only have this and it's not enough. That's the point. And because in this moment, these disciples did what Jesus did, they got what Jesus got. I don't know why parents, can I be a grandpa for a minute? All you parents of kids that are in school, Why do you think that if you do what everybody else does, because you go to church, you're going to get something different than you get? Right? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Like if you do what every parent in your school that doesn't know Christ isn't leading your family through the paradigm of faith, if you're doing what they're doing because all the kids and parents are doing it, then don't be surprised if you get what they get. If it's making no difference in your home. Are you with me? And that's what this principle is if you want a miracle released in your life, break what you have, which is not enough, and trust God with it. Like, here's the plan. The plan is there's a direct connection between your emotional health and your level of generosity. How generous are you with your time? I mean, I'm just asking. You have to ask this question. Like, and the way to do it is pull out your iPhone with your mate and look at your calendar and tell me where, just make a pie chart of your time and how much of it is dedicated outside of your circle. And if you're not regularly practicing generosity, don't be surprised when the miracle doesn't come for you. Y'all hear me? I love you. I do. Y'all don't have my email, so I can just say whatever I want to say. The church in America, capital C church, has become so inward focused. It's become about what we can do and who we can gather and how we can build one another. We need to do those things. But we've got to break the piece of what we have, which is not enough, and do it for others because it's the right thing to do. Right? I'm going to tell you something. I'm scared to not practice this principle in my life. I have a healthy fear of it. I think it's healthy. My counselor says it is. As I said, I'm 62 years old, and I don't lead a local church. I founded a church. That's where Jason and Becky and Mike and I met in Texas that I led for 22 years. And I've done hundreds of funerals. Hundreds. And when my dad was about my age, wow, that's weird to say. When my dad was about my age, I would call him leaving funerals and say, Dad, he was one of those, I'm going to work one more year. I'm going to work one more year. And I was like, Dad, please quit. I just did a funeral for a guy who had a heart attack. Please don't, like, next year's not promised to you. But now I'm his age and I'm doing funerals, and every funeral I do now, they want to have like an open mic time where 4 or 5 people get up and talk about the person, and which I think is great as long as it's only 4 or 5 and as long as it's not, an hour. But it's always one of their kids gets up and friends get up and they say something about what this person meant to them. And now I'm at an age where I'm not thinking that dude's old. I'm thinking, good golly, I'm catching him. And I drive home and I started asking this question 4 years ago. What are people going to say about me? And one of the things I decided, because when you pastor for all the years that I have, you build a pretty big circle of other pastors. And I'm committed to younger pastors, helping them grow. And I decided that I wanted young pastors to say that I was the most encouraging person they ever met. That would be a win for me. They go, dude, he spoke life to me. And so I just got my little iPhone that has reminders on it. And I have 40 names in there. And I try to text 40 guys once a month just to tell them I love them or I believe in them. or they're doing better than they think they're doing. And I've texted from planes because I've been on a bunch of them, and from cities. But when that reminder goes off, I send that text. I'm scared to not, for my whole life to be about me. I want my win is for those guys to win. Right? I'm scared to quit doing that because I know it's a part of my mental health journey, and I know it's what God calls me to do. Can I be really personal for a moment about something? Y'all, some of y'all know me. You guys who don't know me, ask somebody who knows me. I have no desire to impress you. Mike and I, as I stepped out of my role as the lead pastor, we weren't really sure what our next was going to be. I'd written a book for adults called Not Yet, on the 10 biggest lessons I had learned in this 20-year journey of mental health. And out of that came a kid's book called Toby the Goby. I don't have time to tell the story today. I didn't want to write the adult book. I didn't want to write the kids' book. And the first Sunday in 30 plus years that I had not been leading a church, Michael was mad at me because I booked a church in Florida, one of my friends to go speak at. She goes, "Why are you doing that?" I go, "Do you think that I'm going to, let's picture that first Sunday that I have nothing to do." And I went to this church, and they met in a little Billy elementary school where they didn't have control of the thermostat. And I said, "Hey, brother, I'll come out and do Sunday, and I'll bring our books, and we can sell this stuff. The only requirement is you can't pay me anything. And when we sell these books, we're going to give you the money for whatever the books we sell. I want to bless you." So we did the Sunday, and we're driving back from Florida to Mississippi, where my kids lived at that time. And I'm looking out the window, and just tears coming down my face. And I cry a lot. And Micah said, "What are you thinking?" And I said, "I just want to do this the rest of my life. Like, I want to go help churches of 200 or less." I've been in stages and talked in front of 5, 10, 15, 20,000 people. I mean, I don't need to do that anymore. I want to go help these guys. And Micah said, "Well, pray about it." And I'm like, "Okay." So I started praying about it, and I felt like the Lord spoke to me, and He said, if for the next year, you'll add value wherever you can, expecting nothing in return, I will blow you away. And I said, "Lord, I'm scared." And we spent most of our savings to get this thing started, and then He said, "Trust me." Gobi was built on a commitment that we would go to 10 to 12 churches every year where we would pay for everything. And we committed that we would never walk in the door of a church, whether it's 200 or 30,000, without being a part financially of the ministry of that church. Look at me. And we didn't have anything. And people think when our book hit #1 on the Amazon bestseller list for kids, and when what we do started blowing up, they thought, "Man, you just had the right message at the right time." I'm telling you, it's because we practice what Jesus taught us in Mark 6. I mean, what's happened to us is a miracle. And who am I, man? Some bald-headed 60-year-old dude that cries too much. I mean, seriously. And I won't be a part of a mission, a local church, or a ministry that is not pushing its people to break what they have in half and release a miracle. Because life is short and hell is hot. I'm just being honest. And I want to be a part of ministry, churches, families that take what they have that's not enough and break it in half to bless people. And I'm telling you, it's a better way to live your life. So you say, what's your plan? What's the one plan you're giving me today? That you're more generous tomorrow than you are today. That you look outside of your crazy bubble of your kids who want everything on the Christmas list and they're driving you bonkers. And you look for somebody who's hurting that you can speak life to, that you can be a blessing to. Yeah, but you don't know what I have going on. I don't, but I know what Jesus is trying to do. Don't fall prey to the narcissistic cycle that pain brings. And God will do exceedingly abundantly beyond what you ask or imagine because His power is at work in your life. I'm so proud to be a little part of this church family. And I love your pastor and his wife. And because I love them, met so many of you and learned to love you. Mike and I are over here, and this guy's looking at us, getting to know who we are, but we're like in the service, we're taking videos and taking pictures because we can't believe what God's doing here. It's crazy, isn't it? And I know Jason, it ain't him. He ain't good enough for this to happen. It's God. And Middleton, Idaho needs Jesus. And that's our job here, to do whatever we do to make sure that heaven gets fuller and hell gets emptier and people find freedom in the name of the person of Jesus Christ. Can I just pray that for us today as our band comes back up? I'm just going to pray that any of this that I said today, that the Lord would drive it deep into the DNA of your heart if it's something you needed to hear.